Are we good? Uh, Nothing I have says I'm live, but you guys are redeeming stuff and chatting, so I assume we're back. But everything says connecting. um. Anyway, my stream key disconnected. You remember that happened last time? It was like I had to log out of Twitch and then log back into it. Don't know what that was. Whoa. Don't know what that was about. Congrats on the catch, Mogu. So that's fun and great and cool, you know. I'm pretty sure the Pokeball right now has like 100% catch rate. Let me fix that. Because I made it 100 when I was testing it. But we are back, right? Also, this has been so fucking scuffed, like with the screen glitching and then my stream keep disconnecting. What the fuck? Yeah, I was halfway through reacting to the art. I was like, oh my god, it's so cute! And then Chris's fucking message like, now what did you do? I'm like, what did I do? The art is so good, Mogu, thank you! You made her so sexy, yeah! Really late cover art because I like the outfits. Yeah, the outfits are from the game, I think. Like from the thingy. Very good, very cool. Yeah, thank you so much. I am just gonna like check a few things and make sure they're not broken, because goddamn. Thank you for the hydrate. We back, and we were trying to. Okay, should be fine. Should be all right. Unless my stream key decides to disconnect on me again, that would be unfortunate. Click to place selected genre on the shelf. Click and drag to place multiple books. Okay. I want more crime books in here. Ooh. Stocking more books of the genre increases the odds of people finding what they like. Check the sale chance. Yep. I want to put them together. Okay. These two here. I have 0 drama. I can go there. All the fact is like spread out. Bro. Get in one bit. Classics. There you go. Pretty even. Travel we can do a bit more of. Drama we can do some more of. Oops, I got rid of one of my kids' books. 6554 fantasy. Everything's even. Might as well. We have a lot of kids' books. Might as well like get rid of them. There we go. This is still so sus. My OBS just says connecting. It doesn't say live. And it's also not giving me the bitrate or anything. I'm just gonna have to like assume we're good. Did you notice you can look around to a location, click and drag to move your view? You can interact with things by clicking on them. Let's pick up this bully. Oh! I can just steal it? That's wild. Can I steal this bird? Oh, its feathers came out! Oops. My bad. Getting real sick of the clankers in this part of the game. Oh, not the robot slurs. You can also buy books and items while out and about, but they will be put into your storage. You can access them on the next day. Nice. I have no money. We'll get this one. Maybe valuable. Okay. Today is sunny, tomorrow is sunny, no events. Buxtonbury newcomer turns new page. Have you ever dreamt of finding your true home and studying a humble business abroad? That's precisely what this tiny bookshop operator has done, choosing our very own Buxtonbury as their latest destination. When asked about their first impression, the fresh-faced bookseller finds Buxtonbury to be very friendly. Find out more about this new and exciting shop by visiting the waterfront tomorrow. Let's go! Don't be dropping slurs. Another robot slurs, man. Tilda! Wanted to commend you on how much you've been livening up this place. I'm sure you'll want to branch out to other places in town now. My friend Mary owns a very successful cafe in the town center. If I call her up and get her to give you a parking space, you could get quite a few visitors. Nice! Meet me out by the Cafe Liberté as soon as you can. Cute! Okay. Meet Tilda at the cafe. Sick. Oh, and while you're on the topic of showing your face, I heard our dear Walter has quite impressed with your wagon. He's one of the local fishers. Why don't you go over there and introduce yourself? He should just be back from his recent catch. Oh, hello. I shoved my sword up one of their booties. Nice. Challenge unlocked. Ahoy, matey! Introduce yourself to the Walt the Sailor. He's usually sitting by the stairs in the waterfront. Game, please. I just want to do stuff. You might want to write this down, love. Having an organized diary will come in handy in our business. You know what? I still have quite a few unsold journals left over from my old shop. So here, why don't you take this one? Oh, she's so cute! There you go, I hope you can make good use of it. Goodbye. Okay. You can track with which genres you have sold the most, useful for adjusting your selection. This is the total number of books you sold here. Check back here for hints and events as you discover more. Looks like this page holds little postage stamps to mark your moments in Buxtonbury. Okay. Click one of the bookmarks to navigate. Okay. Stamps. Oh, so these are the locations. People. On this page you can see the different items and current effects. Nothing, because you made me get rid of it. X. Crime up. Daily expense full. Oh. Maybe not. Calendar gives you an overview of what's happening. Ooh, there's music on Saturday. And it's summer. This is so cute! Okay. Get me out of here. Let me talk to the guy, please. Ahoy there, kiddo. How's it going? Oh, he's so cute! Looks like you got a good sturdy vessel there. I have some old items lying around which I thought you might like. See if any of it is to your liking. Oh! I can't buy any of it! I'm poor! My friends told me you got some decent cargo on board too. They've been especially enjoying your travel and classic novels. Guess I'll have to be careful or I might be outsold by her. Why don't we make a bet? If you can make 20 sales to my buddies, I'll admit defeat. Introduce the locals to your itinerary selection. Sell 20 books to sailors. Oh, I'm looking forward to a little competition, kiddo. Good luck. Ooh, yeah. The classics are going. Is that a sailor? Oh, hey, what are you doing here? My job. So I assume you'd be at the beach like everyone else. Oh. I'm so sorry, I've already forgotten that you're new. You just seem to fit in so easily. So sorry. Sorry, here, I'll show you how to get to the far beach, in case you want to drop by there soon. E. Get to know the beach by visiting it 3 times. Jeez. I'm not really a beach person myself, but I'm sure the crowd there will need some of your reading material. Bro, what are you doing here? Ah! Running my bookstore! Oh, I just got a phone call. This is so cute. Can I decorate? Can I please decorate? Am I still in the tutorial, please? Oh, new thanks! Hi! Thank you so much for the raid! How you doing? You're also playing Tiny Bookshop? Let's go! I just started! And the tutorial, I'm not gonna lie, it made me put down the cactus and then it made me pick up the cactus and that made me so angry. I love my cactus! This cozy game is too cute and I love it. Let's go! I'm glad you're enjoying it as well. Did you also just start or are you quite far into it? Only into 2nd month. Hey, further than me. I'm on my, I think, like 3rd day. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That makes me look forward to playing it a bit more. Thank you so much for the raid. If you need to raid and run, absolutely feel free. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be here playing. Also, Marsh, you finished the Nier Automata and Nikkei collabs? Let's go! Is there anything else to do in your game apart from that? I don't know how... what was it called? Stellaris? Stellar something works? Is it like Genshin? I'm gonna be chilling. Yeah, the entire main story. Okay, never mind. I thought you would have already done that. Looks like some items have been discounted a little. Ooh. Now might be a good time to buy them, so true. Although you could wait longer and risk someone else buying them first. Item in the seasonal sections have a much slower turnover, so there's no need to hurry. But be sure to snatch them up before the season ends. Ooh, 1%, 1%. It's small. Okay, wait, this is free. This is also free. Nice. 10, 30. I think we're good on that for now. Today's sunny, tomorrow's sunny. I do need to go to the cafe though and meet the person. I only got this game like 2 days before Animaga. I just wanted the cool DLC fits. Sick. I still don't know what the game is about. Yeah, let me put my cactus down. Yo. Books. Go here. Table, little table outside for reading. Put that one there. Check in. And then this can hang on that corner. I think. Oh, plus 2% to customer count. You sold more than 10 books yesterday, plus 5% to customer count. Hey! Wait, this is kind of sick. Okay, what do you do? Oh, I can put items on it. Ah! Put my cactus on it. Shelves. Nice. Alright, we got this. Cafe Liberté. Ooh, it's 13. It's fine. That's fine. People were really into the classics. But that was back at the beach. Might as well put a few more though. Travel is completely gone. Prime. Might as well replace that with more classics. Fact. Would have a few more. Okay. Which game is about? The one that the DLCs are in. Because I know what Nier Automata is, and I know what Nikke is. But this is a collab in a different game. Your bookshop can also be impacted by unexpected sources, such as weather, visitors, or special states. You can always read up what something does by looking at the tooltips. Okay. Yeah, I assume people won't wanna shop as much if it's rainy. Bonjour. I met that lady. To the cafe and speak to Tilda. Yeah. Oh, she's so cute. There you are. Yes! Stamp collected. Seems like Mariam has her hands full at the cafe again, but I'm sure she'll drop by later. Now I have something you might help me with. I've been cleaning out my old bookshop for months now, selling the small pieces at the flea market. This Saturday, I'm trying to move the more bulky items to the market. Help an old bookseller out, will you? They'd fit well into that little wagon of yours. Just pick them up and bring them with you to the market on Saturday. Check by Tilda's old bookshop and pick up all 5 of her moving boxes outside. I owe you. I'll make sure there'll be lots and lots of customers in it for you. Okay. I need... You found a character entry. This page allows you to find more about the characters you meet. Cute! Includes genres they like, personal information, and where you last saw them. Yes. So I need to go to... I'm at the cafe actually. Pick up her items, and then on Saturday we're going to the market. I guess that's what this is. Oh, weekly flea market, yeah. Tick. So we have Thursday, Friday, and today to pick it up. Are these our boxes? Oh. Oh, time event. Click the bubble to help them, they won't wait forever. Listen closely to people's requests and try to pick up on the book they're looking for. Okay, what's this? Stellar Blade. Automata girl descends to Earth to fight off alien invasion and save what's left of humanity whilst also trying to avenge her dead best friend. At least this is what I know so far. Nice! Okay, that sounds interesting. What type of playstyle is it though? Hi Stone Crow! How you doing? We're playing Tiny Bookshop today. We'll probably be playing for like 2 hours more or so because the others should be back from this board game by then. I just need to text them and see when they're gonna be back actually. Okay. Could be better. How are you? I'm doing good. I got abandoned because everyone else went to a sport game. So we're here to stream until they're back. Semi-Souls-like, at least that's what people say it is, but the combat is so fucking good. Hey, nice. Is it, oh, semi-Souls-like? I can't imagine what that would be like. Okay, what does Tilda want? I love that whodunits are having a huge comeback. I wouldn't mind getting into something more sophisticated, and I enjoy a good classic from time to time. I'm interested to see what you suggest. Ooh, okay. Some things can be optional while others are really important to your customers. People also leave some of their likes and dislikes unsaid, so make sure to put yourself in their shoes. Some requests might also be harder to fulfill than others. You can check the difficulty stars here to gauge how many books in your shelf are a good fit for your customer. Requests usually get more difficult as your stock dwindles throughout the day. Let's look for a book that might pique their interest. Into the Sunset. You can see important info about the book, including a short description. The short description, publication date, genre, author, and a page count can all helpful to inform your decision. You think this book is a good match? Once you've found a match, try recommending it to them. No. This is not... I enjoy a good classic from time to time. So she does like classics. Something more sophisticated. Whodunits. Oh, this might be good. Power, Betrayal, and Queens. Witness the captivating drama and heart-wrenching decisions of Regal Mary. It's not really a whodunit, but... Oh, that's... Nope. All's well that ends well. It's really nice seeing books that I recognize here. Hi, Bulbasaur! Doing good. We're playing Tiny Bookshop for a little bit. How are you? How have you been? You were here on Wednesday too, weren't you? I'll do you a video of the combat so you can see. Hey, nice. Thank you, thank you. I'll check it out later. Oh, PS5 game. Ooh. Into the lighthouse. Okay, no. Maybe a crime. Silence of the Lambs. Tomorrow Comes. Regular. Not that one. American Gothic horror at its finest. Much like the guests of House Usher, you will never be quite the same after diving into this deliciously dark and tragic story. Oh, this is a whodunit. This famous whodunit harbors... Okay, this is a classic. Well, it's a classic whodunit. It's Agatha Christie. I recommend that one. A perfect recommendation! Let's go! You might have just found someone's favorite book. They'll buy this one and keep shopping. Let's go! Glad you like it. And where are the rest of your boxes, by the way? Oh, your customers just became inspired. This happens whenever you successfully recommend a book. Ooh. All your customers become inspired to pick up a book for a short time. Nice. Okay, so that's all her stuff. Well, active plus 10 to daily expenses. No! Ooh, fountain. Is there anything else I can steal from the scenery? Like that thing that was on the ground? Need more decorations. Give me the trash bin, so true. No travel. I can't find anything. Let me help. What do you want? Oh, it's so difficult. Either I'm getting more into non-fiction these days, and I wouldn't mind getting into something more sophisticated. Oh, I have so many fact books. Maybe you notice that some books can show up across different genres. This doesn't impact how a customer perceives the book, but you can use it to recommend books in a genre where your customer might not have been looking. They were looking at travel. Sophisticated. Building techniques, game design, the origin of species? Mesopotamian buildings, Le Corbusier. Known as a designer of brutalist buildings. Ugh. Belief in better living conditions for the increasingly crowded cities of the 20th century. Mentions. Shakespeare is not non-fiction. It is. This is sophisticated though, I would say. Fantasy. Bookshop book. Hiking trails. Explorer's Guide to Georgetown. Age of License Prologue. Oh. Maybe the origin of species. What is more like sophisticated? Collection of poems. We can be sophisticatedly poetic. It's not non-fiction though. Maybe origin of species. Traditional building techniques. Or maybe this one. It is cool. It's arts. Arts are sophisticated, you know? Ah! Did not manage to find something for this person. No! How will people know I'm better than them? What? That is such a pretentious reason to read something. Okay, what do you want? Make me feel something poetic, and I usually enjoy classic pieces of literature. I couldn't find anything in the library. Collection of poems. Brilliant! I love the use of poetry in collective poems. I'm so glad you like the poetry in the poems. Oh, it's easy. Damn. Do we have any new stuff in the shop? No, wait, what am I looking at? This Travel and Classic? Is that the same as Travel and Fantasy, Crime and Classic? Ooh, we have some overlaps here. So, nothing more. Okay. Buy something, do it, do it, do it. Do it! You buy my books! Aw, we're closing. Bye-bye. I don't even think that lady came and talked to us. Okay. That's fine. Today... sunny, tomorrow's sunny. I don't know if 1% is worth it. Oh, the cooler. The cooler though. Ooh. I don't have anything. I think I don't need this because I don't have that many things. So I'll just put the plant on here. Keep these. And then just bring them out on Saturday. We already talked to that lady. Have today stuff at the flea market. Oh, good. How come it says 2 underneath the journal? Oh, is that my hotkeys? Ooh, I have hotkeys. Nice. Don't really need to do much for anyone else. Sweet. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to the beach. Let's go get away. Hey, what you gonna say? Get a drink? Clink. Bad bitches like me. How the fuck does that song go? Put more crime. Duck travel back up. Fantasy here. Way more classics. Drama. Maybe there will be more kids at the beach. Maybe we just do that. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. Afternoon at the seaside. Oh, that person is so muddy. I'm gonna have to clean my bookshop after this, man. Are you Harper? Excuse me, could I get a book, please? Of course! I need a fact book because I want to acquire knowledge. I wouldn't mind something niche, but pop science is my pet peeve. Ooh, okay. Niche. This is niche. Like, buildings or a guy. I'll recommend you. Another piece of knowledge acquired! Yeah, let's go! Alvar Alto is exactly what I was looking for. You're so welcome, Harper. I'm gonna be back soon, okay? Bye! Bye, Harper! Hey! Hi, Isa! Thank you for coming by! Let's shake these poopos off. Yeah! Ugh. What are you up to? Did you just wake up? Harper is easily one of my favorite characters. She's not what you expect from an 8-year-old. She's so cute! Thank you for the hydrate. You're actually War? Why are you here? Why are you here, Isa? What are you up to? Lockdown protocol. You're live in lockdown protocol and you're here? Shanghai, what the fuck? Thank you for popping by. I will probably end before you do, maybe. So I'll pop by and say hi afterwards. Thank you. I hope you win. Win, kill everyone else and win. Should I pick? Give me something with a low page count. Okay. I easily get nightmares, so no horror stories. I can't get enough of the Lost Battle. Oh, it's almost Judgment Day in Narnia. Like, actual Christian Judgment Day, where Lion Jesus sends all of the good guys to heaven at the end. The metaphor is no longer subtle at all. Oh, 309 pages. Okay. So we got lower. Okay, but that's horror. Mature reading. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint? What the hell? The epic manhwa series brings a whole new twist on the reverse isekai trope. Dr. Kim Dr. Kim is the only reader of an obscure online novel, so when the dystopic events of the story suddenly occur in real life, he might be the only one who can still rewrite fate. Okay. You might like that actually, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. I liked reading Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. ORV. They have the manga, not too good, and then they also have the anime. It's so good. It is good. Okay, the art is good, but the amount that it like follows the light novel, same. I think with like Reincarnated as a Spider. That's on Netflix, I think, or Crunchyroll. I think it's on Netflix. But like the anime is really good, but it does if you watch the anime and then you read the light novel, it's like so different. But yeah, have that. Yeah, looks like you managed to surprise him with an unexpected pick. Glad you like it. I feel like that happens with a lot. What is the one that has happened recently? How to Be Hero X? And what else? How to Be Hero X and Lord of the Mysteries have also had some action in them recently. Oh, Lord of the Mysteries is so good. Which one is your favorite? Hi! What do you want? Sorry, I'm a bit of a hurry. I want something easy, entertaining, and uncomplicated, but I'm a bit obsessed with crime novels, but I'd rather not read anything with a plot twist. Okay. Crime that's easy. Silence of the Lambs? Horror classic. Horror. Tragic. When the Breakfast Club turns into a crime scene. Okay, that's has twists in it. Villain. Okay. I'd say any of like these ones are pretty straightforward. This one's pretty straightforward, I would say. Mature reading, Stephen King. Yeah. Hello? Misery seems a bit heavy. What? You said you wanted crime. Straightforward crime? Nothing you can get more straightforward than straight killing. Ooh, kids book. Yeah, the kids books are going a bit. Kids on the beach. I was right. Like there are like horror movies that you have to think about, and they have twists and turns to them, and it's real introspective and everything. And then you've got horror movies which are a gore fest. Like they're just here to splash blood in your face and show you people's limbs being ripped off. I feel like you can't get more straightforward than that, you know? Today is an amazing day. Learn to read, hope you like it. Gothic horror, comic tragedies. Do I need more dramas? Not really. I'm more low on crime. But I kind of also don't need any. Do you like horror movies? I like certain ones. Because the thing is, I like horror, but I get so fucking scared. Because people watch horror movies and they're able to just like be like, okay, the movie's done. Now it's over, you know? But I watch a horror movie and then my goddamn like overactive imagination is like everything is real now. I watched the most recent horror I watched was visit 3 times. Okay. The most recent horror I watched was an Australian one. The one with the hand. And in it there's a scene where it looks like there's a laundry. Okay. If people get scared easily, maybe don't listen for like the next 30 seconds. There's a scene where it looks like a laundry hamper's like in the corner of the room and it's dark, you know, like they're about to sleep. And then it morphs and it turns into this like disfigured lady who runs after the guy and starts like eating him. I have ye old laundry pile in my room and I could not, like, I cleaned after I watched that. It made me so scared that I cleaned my ADHD laundry pile because I'm like, no. And then I had a hole of nothing, like where the pile was. It was just a void in my room now, and I had to put like a plushie there. And like, it can't be bad, it's one of my plushies. And then my brain was like, what if your plushie turns into the lady and she starts eating you? Anyway, I'm haunted by it for like 2 weeks and then I'm fine. It comes back every now and then. That really had an effect on me because I'm like, I have a laundry pile. At least it's motivation to clean real. Okay, today is Friday. I'm gonna go back to the waterfront. Up on drama. Few kids in there. And then up on travel. We go. You got a trophy in the game? Is that like an achievement? Okay, hold on. I also missed this. Where are we? Now that you're out of ads, maybe they want something more lighthearted but still straightforward on crime. I read this one called Death Warmed Over, about a zombie detective investigating his own murder, but I haven't seen that book in this game, lol. Hey, wait, that sounds like a cool book. Ooh, damn, you need help this quick? Sheesh. What's this scuttlebutt? Make me feel... make me think, give me something poetic. Also, I'd love to read something classic. Okay! Importance of being earnest. Poem. Edgar Allan Poe? A good poem. You killed someone, now the investigators are here. Oh, Telltale Heart. Okay, yes. So that ends well. Horror thriller. Maybe the poem? It's short, but like, hey. Perfect. The language is really evocative. Yes! Trophies are just achievements for PlayStation. Hey, what did you get an achievement for? Hello. Have a look, matey. Okay, yeah, what do you have? +1 to travel. Ooh, tour to travel. I don't want to spend all of my money though. I need this for my daily expenses. Kill 100 enemies with ranged attacks. Nice. 150, sorry. I don't assume it would be too easy to kill enemies then, or you just don't have that many ranged attacks? Or do they not count on the DLC stuff? Because I feel like you've been playing this game for a while. You were playing it a lot the other day. You literally stopped playing ZZZ and then went straight to Stellar. Tilda, hello. I'm being called out. Hey, you're the one with the not questionable, the very specific game addictions. And all the DLC stuff was just run around, collect items to give someone, get stuff. Oh, okay. So no actually fighting enemies. I hope you're aware of our flea market on Saturday. You should certainly stop by. We haven't had a good book sale there in a few years. The townsfolk will be grateful. Don't miss it, dear. Bye-bye for now. Yes, and I will have your stuff there. Yeah, classics and travel really hit hard here. Any cool things? That's fact and drama. Any more stuff to steal? Nope, not really. The tutorial let me steal something one time, and now I live for that like feeling again. I just want to steal more stuff. 520 Facebook bundle. Can I have more classics? Yes! Let's go! I'll take that too. More classics! Let's go! Flea market. Let's... Yeah, I gotta bring this lady's boxes back. Everything else is fine. $22. Our expenses should be alright. Oops. Miss Lady's gonna be there, which means classics are gonna be up. Who is she? Classics and crime. Okay. That should be fine. Fact. That back. Travel. Put that there. Fantasy. It's drama. Okay. Oh, it's a nighttime flea market? This is so dark. Oh, this is so cute. Can I steal any of this? Hello! You should play Stellar Blade Sorar and I need someone to yap to about it. I'll have a look at it. See if it's anything that I'd be interested in. I do have to have an agreement with Draki to play Lies of P. And then I also need to play Stellar Obscura, like Expedition 33 still. And I also need to play Baldur's Gate still. And I also need to play a few other things still. Lies of P looks so good. It does. It looks so good. And then I got it when it was on sale, but I haven't played it yet. And then Draki said that he played Lies of P recently, and it was really good, and then got me excited for it. So now I'm gonna play it. Art dealer, bonjour. Ooh, ooh. Oh, your stuff is so expensive. This looks like a scroll wheel. It's not a scroll wheel. Pricey, how dare they? I should charge them just for looking. Oh, it is a scroll wheel. Dune! Yes, 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 yes. Dune. But you, I want to talk to this guy. Flea market dealer, hey, you seem like the bookish type. I can't seem to get rid of this thing, do you want it? Let's go! Why, there's so many games to play. Real! It's in good condition and all, I just don't know, it seems cursed. The problem with my thing is like... Yeah. I think I've played like 15 of these. Oh, they're kind of blocked. You can kind of see it. There you go. Did you know I'm a really good finder? I always find the best stuff around here. Last time I found some really rare trading cards. The time before that, my baba and I bought some really good paint. That was so fun. I think this time I'll look for some sunglasses. How many treasures have you found yet? Think you can beat my record? Buy 7 items at the flea market. Well, good luck trying. Does the typewriter count? I didn't buy it, but I got it. So, I did not find what I was looking for. I need a book with a high page count, and I prefer books from this century. I really enjoyed Babel. Can you help me? This novel explores an alternate reality British Empire in which languages and their meaning are harnessed for their immense magic power. 151 though. Something from this century. Nothing would be in the classics. Those are classics for a reason. Kids. You want the Lorax? Drama maybe? 2022. Looking for Alaska. Looks more like sci-fi-y stuff. Ooh. Rhyme. No. I'm patient. I think we'll probably have the best chance in drama. What? What do you want? Your worst enemy of this game? What happened? What is it? What'd they do to you? Why so many games? Oh. Problems. That's why I have a lot to go through. But then I'm like, literally the game that I played on Wednesday and the game that I played today are ones that I got this week. I am not backlogging at all. I'm like, I have such a big backlog of games to go through that I am not going through. My worst enemy is gravity. I've died more times of falling to death than actual enemies. Hey, roll better. Movement better. Oh, True Beauty. After being bullied for her appearance in middle school, Jung-young starts over with a new look after mastering the art of makeup. None of her new friends know what her face really looks like. The first print of popular Korean webtoon. True Beauty is so good! Yes. True Beauty, solo leveling. Same stuff. I love that one. Let's go! I was looking at it and I'm like, this like plot seems familiar, and I looked at it, it says True Beauty, I'm like, oh. But rolling it is what killing me. I said roll better. George, thank you for that daily. Welcome, welcome. Solo leveling. I don't think it'll see. Oh, goodbye. Cup, hello. Did you just finish work? No, wait. What time is it? It's 4. Did you finish the game? Is the game over? Why are you here? Is it halftime? What's happening? Hello. Hi, George. Thank you for the daily as well. I forgot if I said that. Also, solo leveling. Yeah. Gonna be hell diving now, lurking. Thank you. Can't hear, but I love you. Hold on, I got this. There we go. I think, okay, but Babel, alternate reality, British Empire. Language and their meanings are harnessed for their immense power. Something a bit more provoking. Maybe this one. It's not that long though. Like, compared to 700 pages. Okay, to game. Hope your game goes well, Wave. Bye bye. Bye. There we go. That one. This is far too short. I don't have any good long ones for you! Ugh. Unfortunate. Okay, what else have we got around here? Ooh, plants! Missing you in my thoughts anyways. Oh my gosh, you're the bookshop owner. I love your wagon so much. It's so cute. Thank you. I'm Anne. It's so nice to meet you. Anne is so cute. Welcome to the flea market. Wow, looks like you're swarmed with customers. I hope you still had some time to look around though. Would you like some plants for your shop? I feel like they'd fit so well with your vibe. Travel? Prime. I have something that does travel already. That'd be good. Do I? Oh, I can't check the things in this page? That sucks. Ooh! 120. Holy shit. This is gonna make me poor. I ain't got no money. What does the cactus do? I thought my cactus did something. Cactuar. Oh, drama. And then you do travel. Okay. Hello. You were looking for a kid's book? What should I pick for? I'm looking for a fresh kid's book. However, no romance, please. 5 on Treasure Island is one of my favorite all time. 5. Okay. Adventure. The Lorax. True? Artemis Fowl. Artemis Fowl. Oh my god, Artemis Fowl is so good. I remember reading that, like, in primary school. Okay, that's an adventure. Strange time with thieves and a curious child on a mission to return stolen time and journey to her town. Get inspired by this children's classic. This one might be good, actually. Ooh, Momo is my favorite. Oh, you've already read it. Autumn is Foul, I think, and like Skullduggery Pleasant were my biggest childhood reads. Like the series that I followed along with the most. Oh, and like Treehouse of Stories. But that was just a collection of small things. So I feel like you can't really count it as a series as much as just like they procured them for you. Ah, good to see that you found our little flea market. Oh my, thank you for your help, dear. I can finally get rid of this clutter now. You're so welcome. Thank you for taking it. I'll set up my little stand over there by the old cannon then. Come by if you wanted to look at what was in these boxes. It could even be helpful for you. Hello. Oh, does she have to actually go set up the stand? That's so funny. Okay, wait. I actually never got to see what this guy was selling because he offered me the thing. Sand bucket? 5%. That is a lot. Baby doll, 5%. Oh, what? Minus 2% to all other book sales. Ugh. Plus 6% to spooky effects. Minus 3% to electrical effects. And a bench. This one might be good. Baby doll is cursed. I might buy it and then not use it. I'll buy it and then I'll use it when I'm at the beach, I think. Or where does it? Yeah, because it's a kids sale chance, and then only when someone doesn't take a recommended kids book do the other things come into effect, I think. Just a regular toy doll. Oh, who is this? Oh, what? Look at this dope little shop. Hi mate, I've read so much about you in the paper. Such a cool place you've got here. My name's Klaus. I work at the Mega Marsh at the moment. Have you been there yet? It has an awfully big car park. I'm sure no one would mind if you made a stop there from time to time. Let's go! I killed the science experiments and they blew up. I guess killing them or not killing them had the exact same effect then. Choices matter. You know in the game when they say, your choices matter. This is what they mean. Do you want the death of them on your hands or you just want to let them be and then they'll die anyway? Drozzle, thank you for the alert. Going shopping. Yes! New quest. Are you having a good summer? Yeah, it's chill. It's chill. Yeah, it's been good. Cool, yeah, mine too. Have you had some time to check out the local music scene? Not at all. I mean, it's not huge, but we've got some cool bands here and there. Like, I'm in a metal band. Don't know if you're into that sort of thing, but we're called Silence Livery. You're in a metal band? I could not tell. Look at, I could not tell. Well, they were humans kidnapped by the aliens, so I feel like it's 0.1% sad. Feels like the most humane thing to do if there's no way to send them back, and quality of life is a bit down, you know. Alright, I'll check out your books now, but I'll see you later, yeah? Adios. Thank you, Klaus. Plus 2% to all book sale chances? Damn. Hold on. We know what he likes. Fact and travel. Sheesh, same as the other guy. No man, he liked fantasy and travel. So many people like travel. Bam! Are you set up now? Yes! Now assume what I had in the old shop might be of particular use to you since you're also in the book business. Why don't you have a look? Step ladder. Does everyone reach high parts of your shelves? That's 7%. That is a lot. Storage box snugly carries a few extra books. Oh, it's a shelf. Okay. 8 books. I don't know if I need more books. +4 seconds to inspiration, +4 to daily expenses. Stepladder. 3 money! 3! Fuck! Any books on wizards? Maybe. I can't check them right now though. There's a lot of crime books in there. There's a lot of murder books in there. I think you might like those. Gravity got me again and again. Stop dying to movement. Can't even get any of this. Too poor. My daily expenses are 4 right now. I might have to swap these out. Drama. Go to classic. Your kids. Well, maybe we do this and then go to the beach. Maybe we do that and then go to the beach. Okay. So my kids' books are these ones. I'll get rid of those. Do that there. Okay. Get rid of a few of them. Put more travel. Why? What just happened? Huh? I'm so confused. Confetti. Random confetti. For no reason. You love to see it. Classics. I'll put the rest here. Fantasy. Classics down here. And put the fact there. 7 kids books? Maybe we just do all kids books. Fuck it, go all in. The travel is also up. We should do that. Fact, I don't think I've gotten much sales on. So we could do more classic here. Crime, fantasy, what is this? Drama? Even that out. Okay. Let's go. Sunken cost facility. Go into debt! No! My daily cost! No! It's fine, guys. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But look at these boosted kid sales chance. Boosted travel sales chance. You have a tail now with this outfit? Hey, let's go. Hopefully we have someone who needs help so we can see if we have any wizard books.
Wow.
Ahoy, welcome to Books and Brewery's main beach. It's nice to have you here, such a great spot, don't you think? I've already seen some people with your crime and fantasy titles in hand, let's go. Gosh, you're doing so well already. I'll finish up my run for today, cheers. Ooh. Okay, shh, honey, we're talking to the bookseller right now. I enjoy my books light and entertaining and wouldn't mind something with a detective. I really enjoyed The Hidden Staircase. Bring the clever teenage detective Nancy Drew as she solves the mystery of a mysterious haunting. A detective story for all ages. Do we have one here that is a detective story? Matilda? Miss Peregrine's. Ooh, that one has supernatural stuff. That's good. I really like the movie for that. Dragon Ball. Let's go. They put Dragon Ball in kids. Oh, 5 on Treasure Island. That's the one that the other guy really liked. The wild things are Lorax. Okay. Do I have anything light here that has Detective? Not really. Living with Alaska. Oh, in Alaska. None of those would. Fantasy. Attack on Titan! Let's go! Nothing with a wizard though. Return of the King. That's a bit darker. J.R. Tolkien. Lightning Thief. Real and true. Fantasy. This is young adult. Out of discontent. Builds a city out of his toys, books, and game pieces. Next thing he knows, he appears in a life-size version of it, populated with people who need his and Lucy's help. No, the Willows. Gothic horror classic follows. Two friends. How many manga do you have? I actually don't own that many because all of mine are digital. My bookshelves are full of other things. I say that, but I do have one bookshelf which is like entirely manga. I have a lot of Japanese manga too, but that's from my sister. Wuthering Heights. Ooh. Emma. Yeah, no, the classics are too heavy. Light and entertaining. You want the Lorax? Wouldn't mind something with a detective. Maybe 5 on Treasure Island. No, that's a surprising treat. It's nice and light. Yeah, there you go. I mean in-game, but IRL collection is cool. I want to see. Oh! So far, we've had Dragon Ball. We had a lot of manhwa. There was True Beauty. There was Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. A few others. I don't know, my stock changes. It goes in and out. I want something that's part of a series. I easily get nightmares, so no horror stories for me though. Ooh, do I still have... I don't. God damn it, someone bought it. I was like, Percy Jackson. No. None of the travel ones would be part of a series. Attack on Titan. Oh, I have Attack on Titan. There you go. Oh, like, Percy Jackson is here. Yeah, maybe Percy Jackson. There you go. Perfect, I love that. I don't have to say goodbye to these characters anytime soon. You're welcome. Well, Percy Jackson. Someone does kinda, you know, well. Hey, you look like you're good at picking up stuffs. My mom told me we have to go home, but I don't have any shells yet. Yeah, ever heard of marine biology? It's where you study stuff from the sea, like starfish and mermaids and clams. That's so cute, Harper. That's why I need seashells to look at them for science. Can you pick some up for me, please? However, Harper, you should know if you're getting into marine biology that taking shells from the beach is not good. Unless you are returning them, because I assume she lives nearby. Here, I'll give you my special marine biologist device. Marine biology device, uniquely suited for seashell collection and analysis. Allows you to collect seashells when equipped. Ooh, I picked most of them today, but some more should have washed up by tomorrow. I just need 12 more. Guess we're coming back here tomorrow. Ugh, my mom's calling me again. Okay, bye. Harper, oh, she's so precious. I don't know what to pick. I thought you were leaving. I want something in a historical setting, and I don't think I'll ever outgrow children's literature. I'm a fan of books like Anne of Green Gables. Yep, I already finished the last one. Ooh. Historical setting. Return of the King? No, wait. Poetic. Historical. Children's literature. Maybe Emma. You might like it. If you've read Anne of Green Gables. Yippee! I'm interested in the historical aspect of it. Thank God! Thank God! Holy bombshell, I just got insane. Laura won't tell because spoilers. So Ooh, I'm glad you're enjoying your story now that you're actually getting to the story, because you've finally finished all of the DLC content. Actually, it did not take you that long to finish all the DLC content, but you... I don't know how long you played the game for. I'm like, it's been like 3 days only. Hasn't been that many days, but you could also be doing like a no-life run of this and not sleeping and just playing your game. I'm completely out of crime. This is insane. Took me like 4 days. How many hours though? 4 days, but how many hours? Ooh! Plus 4% to crime sale chance. Let's go. Can I get this rock? Dude, my spooky baby worked. Nice. Okay, books. I really need classics again. Grimdark, vintage books. Alright, that should be fine. So much fact. So much fact book. PlayStation says I've played for 11 hours. Oh, that's not too bad actually. So I have the jar. Where do I want to go? I want to come back here tomorrow actually. So we will keep the same setup. That doesn't really help. That doesn't really help. That's not really helping. You give me a bonus, but you don't have a daily expense, so you're fine. You tank my kid's chance, so I'm not doing that. Go back to Far Beach. I've been swapping between DLC and main game depending on how I feel, so maybe 6 of the most for DLC. That is, I feel like a quite good amount for DLC, especially since it wasn't more gameplay like actual stuff and it was just fetch quests. Okay, yeah, we can visit the beach 3 times, we can get these... we can get these seashells. They stock that with books, stock that with kids. Oh my god, crime. Drama's basically untouched. Replace that with travel. Put fantasy back in. Don't need as much classics. Maybe we do like this? Okay. Let's go look for some seashells! Yes, and we visited 3 times. I get the stamp. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Might have to check back in throughout the day. Oh, there is someone in here. Ooh. Did not notice them. Harper! I ain't seen no seashells. See, this is making me feel like I should have put more kids' books there. Everyone is getting kids' books! Oh, did you see the Crunchyroll release K-pop Demon Hunter pop vinyls? I did not! Damn, okay. I'll look at that later. Dreadful weather. Give me something straight from the stage. Also, I'd like a must-read classic piece of literature. Wuthering Heights. Jekyll and Hyde does have a musical. That's a surprising treat. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde has been on my TBR practically since it was released. Okay, maybe not that long, but like a while. Nice! Hey, if it's been on your to-read list for so long, might as well get to it. People are not touching crime today. Also, like I said, dreadful weather, dude. It is a bright, sunny day. Has been all week. Okay, that part of the story is done. Now, Soren help me choose. Do I do all the side quests? This will help me in the long run. But I keep doing main story for the lore. Personally, I am like a type of completionist who likes doing all of the side things first, so that you can boost yourself and then also see most of the game. Compared to if you just do the main story, the games like there are the main stories where once you finish them, the game is over and then you can't really explore afterwards, or there will be sections that are blocked off. So I think do the side quests. Like if you really want to dig into the game and see the entire, like all they have to offer and 100% completionist, then do the side quest. Yeah, side quest time. I get to pick a book. I will rage if none of the characters kiss. I just can't leave without another fantasy novel. I can't get enough of Howl's Moving Castle. True. Okay. Young adventure and action-packed world of fading magic. The Willows, I don't think is a romance. Charlotte's Web, not a romance. Nimona, not a romance. Nimona, though. Damn. 2015. The only reason I know is because of Netflix. Midnight Gorilla, no. 500 Iron, no. Hotel Heart is a horror. Crime and Punishment, nope. The Big Sleep, nope. Harry, nope. The Westing Game, ugh, dude, I have nothing that like has people who kiss. This is travel. Okay, Othello. Heroic black general Othello soon finds himself in the middle of intrigue and betrayal after one fateful promotion, the start of a brutal tragedy about someone who loved not wisely but too well. Henry, no. Hamlet. Is there kissing in this? Hamlet, romance? No. Death. Lots of death. I think the only one that might have kissing is Othello. The Well at the World's End. Is this a romance? I just can't leave without another fantasy novel. Fuck, I can't give him Othello. Try that. Are you sure? No yearning, no kisses, no romance at all? I'm sorry! I didn't have anything! Ha, summer holes are the best. My parents wanted to go somewhere on a holiday, but I said, you can go without me then. I don't want to sit in a car all day. In Buxtonbury, I can just take my bike to the beach. Plus, all my friends are here. I'd miss out on all the best strokes if I went away. There's only one thing we're missing for the summer. Sandcastles. Ooh, no better place to dream yourself away than Buxton Bay. Sell the fantasy 15 times during the summer holidays. Oh, and one more fantasy book, of course. Keep up, will ya? Cute. Any shells? There's actually a sandcastle thing here. book, please? Okay, one moment. What do you want? I want a book about historical events. I like niche books for the most part. Yep, already finished the last one. Okay. Historical. About historical events. Yeesh. Travel. Okay, a fictional travelogue self-described as not anything that can possibly be useful or instructive, but only a sense of what those centuries had to say and sympathy for their ways of saying it. Do you want all of the historical events? I think that's what that is about. Journey to the center of the earth. Stones of Venice. Maybe this one. I like that it deals with the past. How did you know? You wanted history? Okay. Let's go. Dude, where are shells at? I found one. It looked like a rock. Drama did not sell at all. This is unfortunate. Okay, today's sunny, tomorrow's sunny. I think I'm good on books, honestly. Drama collection, prepare to cry. Room dark set. No, I think we're good. Do we have more things to do here? Sell 15 fantasy. I think I need to finish that guy's quest to sell local sailors. Yeah. So travel, classic, and fact work here. Let me adjust this layout. You do drama. Add stuff to new. Classic. Yes. It's a huge Tristan equipped an item that you can activate. Check it out in your item bar. Give it a try once you've set up shop. Ooh, activatable. Okay. This one is the kids stuff. This one is crime. This one is kids stuff. Okay, I'll stick with this to bring my daily expenses down. This is travel classic fact. Classics. Some drama in here. Crime, of course, because that lady's probably gonna come by. Fact. Across the shelves like this. Travel here. Look, we don't have any kids and we don't have any fantasy. So have these. Okay. Rhyme, fact. Okay, I could do more fact. Do more classic and then put some drama in here. Travel, okay. 4 4 5 5 8 7 7. Chick. Shop is open! Well, you have an item that you can activate. Check your item bar and give it a try. Oh, blank page, huh? It looks nice and pristine like that. I probably shouldn't write on it just yet. Yeah, it's better left empty rather than writing just anything. I'll come back with some ideas tomorrow. Get to work on your typewriter and finally start that book you always wanted to write. I still let the creative juices ferment for the rest of the day. No! Oh my god. Okay, I just have to activate it like every day. Do you have anything cheap? Special boy for a special someone? Minus 15 to animal effects? What? Okay, well equipped, +4 to travel sail chance while the fish is talking. Minus 25% to maritime effects. Minus 2 recommendations per day. What? Oh, plus 25% to maritime effects. What are maritime effects? I think I want the boy. Okay. That's all. Otherwise we'll be too poor. I heard you gave Tilda a hand with clearing out her shop, did you? I'm sure she appreciated that, but you know, maybe you can also check in on her from time to time. If I know Tilda, she'll have a hard time letting go. I've always been that way ever since I've known her. Oh, always been that way ever since I've known her. I've always been that way. He's not talking about himself. So good! Hey, it's working again. Thank goodness for municipal maintenance. Oh! Lighthouse. I like that that's the only thing that we can see. Amazing. This lonely tower lights the way along Buxtonbury coast. New area! Let's go! Okay. Dog. Yes! Is this the animal effects? This little stray seems a bit hungry. The stray you met seems really hungry. Why don't you throw him a bone or something? Would you like to pet the dog? Yes! Of course! Yo, what's up? I'm here in research. I'm looking for a travel guide. I'm a fan of books like An Explorer's Guide to Georgetown. Okay. Age of License. Okay, this one goes through Europe. Search of Most Beautiful Islands. Not really. Explorer's Guide to... What if I suggested him the exact same book that he likes? Journey to the Center of the Earth. Book of Tea. Okay, but this one. Sweet! An Age of License sounds like a fun trip. You're welcome. I like the Explorer's Guide to Georgetown. Well, guess what I have? The Explorer's Guide to Georgetown. Do they say they like it because they've already read it? Or are they like, this is something I would like? I'm like, oh, I have the exact book. Would it give me a bonus if I gave them the exact book? I have no idea. Stamp collected. Sure, if you catch, sell 20 books to the local sailors. Let's go! Can I talk to him about it? Oh, yes! Minus 10% to danger, let's go! Let me tell you a wee secret. Us sea folk, we love a good decoration or two. So if you want to garner a little respect around here, just have to show us your maritime side. Cute! And if you're seaworthy enough, you might even get an invite to the fish market next Wednesday. I'm sure I got some knickknacks left over if you want to have a look. I do have the boy. I have the thing that he gave me now. I think it means they like it / read it already, right? It has to! It has to, right? Travel's doing really good right now, probably because of all the boosts. But Classic is boosted as well, man. There's a game for my actual job. Also, hello, hi, Crispy. You work at a bookstore? Damn. Sounds fun though. Yeah. It sounds fun though. I love the bookstore people at my local store. They're so chill. Sometimes I can waste time and read mangas. Let's go! Out from my back, I want something with a political message. I enjoy getting sucked into a really long book and I'm feeling philosophical. Okay. You want Inkheart? In kids? That's interesting. Something really long. 341 pages, 188, 100. Jane Eyre. Many social issues present, yes. Feeling philosophical. Ultimately leads to love. Okay, let's go. Don't really see the political statement here. Ah! The political statement is that the problems that women faced in the past are still here. Has its moments. Yeah, I feel like all jobs are like that. Ooh. Hello dear, can I give you a word of advice? You'll probably soon gather some regulars, people who will always return to your shop and who like to chat. In my experience, they always greatly appreciate it if you can remember some details about them. Maybe last week they told you about their hobby or that their birthday is coming up. I recommend writing these things down in your journal. For example, young Harper is celebrating her birthday soon. Oh, cute! And you know how important birthdays are at that age. I'm sure she'd be delighted if you give her your best wishes. Here, lend me your journal for a minute. I'll fill in all the important dates I can remember off the top of my head. Thank you! Oh my god. Love Tilda. Hi, you're the highlight of my route. I'd like to read more about the beautiful nature on planet Earth, but life's too short to read a book. Read a book with over 700 pages. Do you have anything like the sea around us? Beautiful nature, planet Earth. Cultural attitudes, systemic bias. Encyclopedia? Feminist, queer, travel. Maybe something like this. Guide to Georgetown. Explore the mythical and exotic lands of Western Europe. Wisdom's Miss. Okay, that's about culture though. Yeesh. Yeesh. Senseless Power, Death and Null 9, Great Gatsby. None of these are really about nature. Architecture, history. Maybe? I feel like they're not gonna like it. Yeah, okay. Oof! Cheerio! All of these people need to figure out how to fix their posture. They should look at everyone hunching. It's not good. See, you don't want anything? Okay. Oh. I thought we'd do better here. Actually, we did so good at the beach. I need to equip all of my life boys and hopefully travel will do better here. Okay, free books. Let's go for travel ones. Nice. Drama collection. I'll take these ones. One travel. Oof. Okay. And we'll go to Waterfront Fish Market. Where is that? It would just be back at Waterfront Square, right? But let's put on our boat decorations. Is this already on? Where is it? Yeah, at the front. This one, sure, classics can go. This done for crime. No daily expense. Drama +2 to danger, but I have a -10 to danger, so that should be fine. Up, 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 up. Sweet. For the dog a treat. I need to find out where to get the treat from. Kiss Neri? Neri, are you okay if I give you a kiss? If you're still here. I gotta check. Maybe replace this top shelf with travel. What was that? Marsh requested a kiss for you. If you're okay with that. You're fine. Very okay with— okay, come here. Wait. let me move myself. Oh, not like rotate. Yeah. Mwah! Mwah! Yeah! Let's go! I'm glad you enjoy the kisses. The kid's chance is really low, so I don't think I want to put too many there. Do way more travel. Okay. And the fish market should be on. Fish market! Slay! My, look who decided to sail in today. Yes! Oh, and I equipped 3 maritime decorations. Look at your old seaworthy. Does your vessel have a name yet? Destiny. SS Gampy. Doesn't have one. We can't have that. A vessel without a name is bad luck. How about Bookstonia? It's a real lucky name. I swear on my own boat. Very good. I'd say you're ready for our little fish market now. Would you like to see my special offers? Yes. Fish. Oh, I can throw it at the dog. Distracting, -3 to all other book sales chances, plus 15% danger. We do this. We get the fish. Make sure not to leave that fish just lying around. Some old seagulls around here can be vicious. If you ask me, you should cook it sooner rather than later. It tastes best grilled or in a stew. If you don't eat fish, maybe share it with our stray over there. I know he'll love it. That's what the plan is. Ooh, there's a guy here as well. Hello. Oh, Lady Ma'am is in our shop. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna give you the fish. Yep, buddy, it's for you. Cute! Oh, he looks so excited. Seems like he enjoys fish. Yes! Hello, dear. I can't help but think back to my youth whenever I look at you. I'm sure you haven't had to spare even a thought on retirement yet. Let me tell you one thing. Make sure you have some very good friends and as many things to do as possible or you will be bored. I myself volunteer for the town council where we organize events and community outreach. I read and game and even attend the occasional concert or exhibition, yet still nothing compares to the hustle and bustle of a bookshop. It is also tiring, yes, and I knew I couldn't go on doing it forever. But as soon as it was gone, my life became too quiet. Which is why I like to have your fetching little shop around now. Around. Now let me help find another pastime in your shelves. Looks like I have any fish. Nope. Give me a hand, matey. Sure. What's a scuttle? What's a scuttlebutt? I'd like to read more about the beautiful nature on Earth. Ooh, also, I wouldn't mind learning about a new hobby. Okay. People want to know about the nature, botany in a day. Want to impress your friends and family with this great plant identification party trick? This book covers more than 100 plant families and how to spot their common features. Become a botany expert. Yo. Become a botany expert and have plant identification as a hobby. Brilliant, this is why I love the environment. Yes! I'm so glad we had a plant book for someone. I'm looking for finding optimism. Yes! Yes, yes! People are getting this travel books. I'm so glad because I put so many there. Damn, this person got a lot of books. Oh, they're getting more. Holy. Hey mate, nice to see you around a bit. You mind if I hang around a bit? I need to do some writing. You know how I told you about my band? Yeah, I wanted to work on our concept album while our bassist is away, but it hasn't been going super well. I even took some time off work to focus better, but I'm just absolutely out of ideas here. Like, it's been weeks and I got nothing. I'm starting to get a bit stressed. To be honest with you, don't want to disappoint everyone. Got any ideas for me, mate? Song about heartbreak. Nah mate, romance isn't really my thing, so I wouldn't know anything about that. I want more of a prog rock thing going on. Like, the whole album needs to tell a story. Wanna help Claus come up with a song, try recommending books he likes and talking to him often. Okay. Well, I'll have another think about it, alright? Peace out. I can activate this and see if it'll do anything. Alrighty, here we go! Come on, I know you're thinking thoughts, let them out. Bees. Bees, I like bees. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Bees are so smart, they can tell the time. Hey, that's something. A book about bees then. Sure, I can work with that. Keep typing. Let's go! Yeah, what do you need? The non-fiction here is good. I tend to read lesser known works and I quite like historical settings. Got anything for me? Historical. Moving into an estate? No. Ew, sports? What are they, athletes? No, they're just watching the sports, but they all went. They're abandoned. How you doing, Zach? What's going on? Victorian London. I don't know if Sherlock Holmes is niche though. Morning, just woke up. What time is it? Oh. Like 2 p.m.? Good morning! Welcome to the day! You really like sleeping on the weekend, huh? Sabbatical, desolate island, no. 3 p.m. I slept 12 hours, life is good. Oh my god. I mean, you know, all power to it. I'm glad you got some good sleep. 3 hours on week. Oh. Zach. Fix your stuff, bro. Sherlock Holmes. Anyway. It's symmetry, no. One of us lying, no. Death Note. Death Note! Not historical. Shadow of the Wind. No. 6 cups? 6? Yeah, I agree. That is too much. That is, that's way too much. Jeez, damn, man. Damn. Little Women's good. Sherlock's also good. Sorry, I didn't have anything from the real world. The real world. It's only 2 coffees and the rest is tea usually. Normally only 5, but sometimes I drink 8 to average it out. What the hell? Hey, I'll just pick a new book if that's okay. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's hope the nice weather holds up until Saturday. Everyone's counting on it for the flea market. He's so awkward. He's so awkward. I can't decide. Okay, what do you want? Actually, let me keep you in there a bit longer so that people buy stuff. I'd really use something with a political message, and I'm feeling philosophical. To Kill a Mockingbird is one of my all-time favorites. I hope it's not too much of a bother. Feeling political message, philosophical. Political message. Persuasion, no. This, no. Heartstopper, Oh? Are you looking for feminist anarchist sci-fi? I'm totally oh my god. Lee Gwyn's A Hainish Cycle is the best place to start. Well, this book is technically the 5th book in the series. I know it's the first in the chronology. Confusing, I know. Dude, okay. Might be good. Discworld series. Oh, Discworld. Damn. Anarchy! Yes! Kill a Mockingbird was fun. In my opinion, 1984 is better. I've not read either. I've only watched Kill a Mockingbird. Dracula, no, Blood of the Elves, The Witcher. Ooh. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Okay. Well, if you want a political message. There we go. Sweet. The Dispossessed is really powerful stuff. We finally got a good recommendation. Let's go. Kill a Mockingbird is more of a slice of life. It's unfortunate. Oh. Ah! It's unfortunate, but it's true. You're right. I mean, you're right. Hey, he's following you. Seems like he really wants to stay with the bookshop. Would you like to take him home with you? Oh, fucking course! He's excited! Yes! He used to live on a fishing boat, but now he never leaves his side. Yeah! Oh my god, he's so cute. I need this game now. And you can pet him. Gonna look it up. Yes! Yes! It was like, do you want to pet the dog? And I was like, of course I want to fucking pet the dog. Okay, chat. Are we naming him Buddy, Behemoth, or Bailey? I got options for you. Buddy, Bailey, Behemoth. I feel like we have to go for Behemoth. It's so funny. I wonder the amount of people who go for Behemoth just because it's such an obscure name. Behemoth? Yeah, right? Let's go for it. Ruff! Great, it looks like he already responds to that. Yes! We got the good boy! Welcome to the tiny family. Cute! Alright, let's go, Behemoth. Used books for sale. Let's go. Okay. So what are our goals right now? Find what to buy his latest catch. There's not really anything in this area. Still need to do the seashells. But it is... what is it? It's Thursday. Yeah, we could do that. We could go back to the beach. But we haven't been to Mega Marsh yet. I don't really know what they like. Thermal paper. Thermal paper. Oh, for receipts. Toilet roll. Dog food, snacks. We can get dog food. True. And we need to visit this 3 times anyway. Okay. So let's just change to our... I don't really need the seashells, but it's not anything that will hinder me right now. Okay. Basically everything is up again, apart from kids. It's so cute. It is cute. Alright, let's do our even layout. Apart from kids, don't really need that much. Five. Oh, but travel is still up quite a bit. Maybe we do like this. Put that one, put this here. Drama halfway, fact. C, classic. And then more travel, do more fact, and then more prime. Might as well. Yeah. We got this. Oh, they do really have a big parking lot. Okay, let's see who wants to buy some stuff. Hopefully we'll see Klaus here more as well. Oh, and let's see if there's any stuff that I can steal. I've immediately found something that I can steal. I really like this birdhouse that's on a tree in public. Mine now. Bruh. Look at them go. Look at the dog! Oh, wait, can I do the typewriter? Activate. Right, listen up. I've got the perfect chapter idea for the book. Swarm intelligence. Are bees actually aliens? Huh? What do you mean that's misleading and unscientific? Wow, you're being pretty bossy, you know? But alright, I guess I'll revive by tomorrow. And the dog. Our good boy Behemoth, who's the sweetest boy. Yes! Can I pet? Yes, you are. Cute. to recommend. What a week. I really don't want any plot twist. I also don't give me one of those super heavy books, but I should definitely be recommended a crime novel. Ooh, yeesh. That's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. Okay. It's a sinister murder, but it's exaggerated characters and dry wit. Increasingly dark and violent stream of consciousness. Maybe this? I never would have looked there. You've cracked the case. I can't wait to read this. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah, this game is so cute. I see claws coming up. Hey, I'm surprised Fact isn't doing better, because it is boosted. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, I have to pick up my kid in a bit. I will rage if none of the characters kiss. However, I really don't have time for anything long. Okay. Romance, romance. Little Women. Ooh, Little Women is romance. Totalitarian, no. Battle of the Labyrinth, Gregor discovers a hidden world beneath New York in this charming yet dangerous fantasy adventure for young readers. Will he live up to the prophecy of foretelling his deeds? Don't think so. Artemis Fowl definitely does not have romance in it. God damn, that guy is on the spectrum somewhere. Rose of Versailles. Oh! Historical romance classic. Ooh. She lives as a man so she can command the palace guard. Ooh, okay. Historical romance. How many castles in 7 days? Is all travel? Don't think so. That's a fact. It's Sailor Moon. But this is volume 1. You know how long it takes them to kiss people? Okay, maybe this one. Rose of Versailles. Perfect! Love, love! Nice! Hey there, I'm still on the lookout for album inspo. You don't happen to have a book that could help me out, do you? Ooh, okay. Non-fiction niche books. Fact. Last time someone wanted niche, I gave them this guy. Just a story why we still tell fairy tales. Gemology, a study in Ruby. Physics. 1908. Entangled Lives. You want this guy? Perfect. I haven't heard of Alvar Aalto yet. Let's go. Whenever people want niche, you get the photographer guy. Yeah. Thanks, mate. This is a massive help. I'll be back here soon. You're welcome. Can I interact with the dog again? Oh, we can give him more pets. Have a good one. See ya. Ciao. Bye bye. Fantasy and classic did nothing today. I'm surprised. Kids got 1, even though I only had 3 on the shelf. That's crazy. Crime and drama completely sold out, so maybe crime and drama do good here. I wonder if it's updated. Crime, drama, fact, travel. Okay. That's what's done good here. However, I do have like all of my decorations out basically. Oh my god, Klaus is getting so many books. Oh! Whoa! Damn! So what time is it? It is getting a bit late. I might end soon. Because I think the others are finishing their sport game. Let me see. How would I check this? How does one check sport game? Do I just Google like who won? Oh, there's a lot of traffic around the area. So maybe it is done. Was it? Um. Ooh. Okay. There is a thing on who is winning, so maybe they're done. I actually have no idea. I don't know how sport works. What sport game? Rugby. And NRL. NRL. Rugby. Full time. What does full time mean? I think it's over. I think it's over. They like man fighting for balls and slamming into each other? Yeah. You know how, like, sexy that is? Anyway. The game's over at full time? Okay, so it is over. Nice. Then they'll just be on their way back now. However, it's gonna take forever, because traffic. It's red. Like, you know, Google Maps, I don't know if you have Google Maps, you can look at the live traffic updates. Like, it is dark red around that area. Ooh, collector's editions. I wonder if it makes a difference. I can put the birdhouse on. Yes! Yes! I'm putting everything on the front. It's so cluttered. Oh, nope. Oh, here. I can't grab this ladder. It's pissing me off. Maybe you weren't supposed to climb. Ever think about that? Oh, what day is it? Friday. Okay, let's go to the beach. Let's go to the beach. Let's go get away. Wait, hey, what's he gonna say? Click, drink. Oh, let's go get away. I have to? You have to grab it? That's crazy. It's marine biology, travel. Do I want all of that on me? Might as well. Okay, so I have a lot of kids and a lot of travel. I'll put all the kids on the top shelf. Travel can go here. What else is boosted? Fact. Probably something like that. Travel, fact. Okay. Rhyme. Drama. Fantasy can probably have some of these. And then classic. Sweet. Let's see if we can find any more shells. There's one. Two today. That's pretty good. Hi, Bretta, what do you have for us? Now, dear reader, you know everything there is to know about bees, and will never have to read about them again. Pretty interesting, right? I didn't even know I had so many bee facts memorized, but here they are. Nice. Go on, take it. Your very first manuscript. The bees! This stack of paper can be turned into a real book. It's bound to be a #1 fact book. Okay. Oh no, what's this? With one final clack of the keys, the typewriter fell silent. Broken? Oh. The type bars are in a terrible deadlock. Luckily. No, my typewriter broke. Okay. Ayo, dog time. Yes, you wanna play? Roll over. Cute. Guess he doesn't know that one. It's alright, I love you. My dog IRL is barking at me too. Ooh, are people home? Ooh, book recommendation. What do you want? Needs to be suitable for an 8-year-old, but nothing romantic, please. It's for my little sister. Okay. Eddie. Nope. Sailor Moon. No. Moomin? Yeah, Moomin's cute. Flower Fables. Oh, yes! Oh my god, I remember Flower Fables. Adventures of Pippi Longstocking, Adventures Wonderland might be a bit too complex. Newtonian's Physics for Babies. This is not romantic at all. It's physics for babies. Dinosaurs and Other Prehistoric Life. Prince Caspian. No, let's go for this one. Woohoo! This will make a good bedtime story. Physics for bed! Let's go! I love when they're happy with the recommendations. It's so cute. Oh, that person got so many books. Hey, you know what? Is it birthday related? Hey, what? How did you know about that? Yeah, it's no big deal, you know? Just the best day ever today. Summer birthdays are the best. We can picnic at the beach and get as much ice cream as I want, and no one can tell me no. Well, my parents did say I had to wait until after eating before I could swim again, but I'll forgive them this time since I'm almost a grown-up now. Anyways, nice of you to say hello. I would offer you some cake, but we already ate it all. Sorry, bye. Thanks for stopping by, Harper. Have a good birthday. We're the bestsellers. Hello. What do you want? What a week. I'd like a book with some mystery, and it wouldn't hurt if it had a thrilling, gripping plot. But please, no dry or dull reading. Six of Crows! Yes! Damn. Maybe I recommend this. Dude, Six of Crows. Catching Fire. This isn't even like, I don't even think that would be the best one here to recommend. I'm just like, I just fucking love Six of Crows. You know, fuck it. I'm not looking for anything else of that. You call that a mystery? Fuck. There's some mystery in it. Oh, there's another person. Hello. Shh, honey, we're talking to the bookseller right now. Give me something utterly scary. However, I usually don't like it. Corey can't get enough of Northanger Abbey. Scary. According to a reviewer of the play at its original performance, it's an arrangement in blood and ferocity, morbid, bizarre, repulsive. Okay, maybe not that. I don't know if I have anything utterly scary then. Lean. Romantic interpretation of the Iliad? No. Sherlock Holmes, Rebecca. No, I don't have anything. Really? Next time then. Sorry. My bookshelf today is very much catered towards kids' books. Which is interesting because crime went and it's not even being boosted. Okay. Any shells spawned? I wonder if they can spawn halfway through or if they really... Like what you get at the beginning of the day is what you get at the beginning of the day. Bye bye! Moomin Winterland. Yes! Oh, dog outside. Ooh! Might be time to end stream soon. Damn, this person is getting a lot! Damn! Oh my god, they finished all my fantasy books. I think I hear voices. Yeah, they're outside. I don't know who it is though. Hold on. Let me check the cameras. Click, click, click. Any free books? Nope. Basically free. It wasn't in my head for once. Win! Oh no. It's my mom coming home. She went out to watch a movie today. Daughters of Daughters? Something like that? Looked interesting. Does the weather ever change? It's just sunny all the time. Okay. Maybe get rid of that. I can put this cactus back down. Oh, okay. It's table time. Put the skull there, put our manuscript here. Let's go! I wonder where we do the manuscript thing. Maybe that's a thing we'll have to unlock. The ladder is only... well, there's books on the top shelf. This boosts basically everything. Okay. Confirm. Time for the flea market. Our biggest boost is still travel. So let's do a lot of that. Half crime, half drama. More classics, maybe more crime actually. So I'll put the classics here. Back to half fantasy, half. Seems like it'll be good. Maybe just put like these here. Okay. Shop is open. Let me go around and talk to everyone and see what they have. Microscope. Back cell, +3 plant effects. Ooh. Review board. Oh, that might be good. Oh, Plant Lady's not here yet. Okay, she's there. Nope, that was one of our customers. Never mind. Bonjour. Okay. +2 to all fantasy, +2 to travel. Then my paint colors. +2 to kids. The kids one might be good. Which one's cheaper? Oh no, travel. We'll do this, and then we can really fucking boost our travel stuff when we go to the beach. Oh, when we go to the port. Hi. What do you have? Storage box. 8 more books. Might be time to stock a more shelf. Okay. I'll think about it, Tilda. Thank you. Ah, quick, I need a hand. A rescued plant given over into your custody by someone who would rather go unnamed. Phew, that was heavy. Thanks for the help. Look, you've got to keep it. This is all under wraps, alright? I know I just dropped a massive fun in front of you, but it's technically not mine. I kind of, you know, stole it. I swear it was a rescue mission though. Someone left it at my uni over the break, and with no one that would water it, so I couldn't exactly leave it there, right? Totally. Thank you, I knew you'd get it. Well, I'm sure it will be in better hands with you. Fits in perfectly with your whole cozy vibe. Is this a cozy vibe? I'm like looking at this skull on the table and this little haunted doll on the ground. Thanks again, I've got to run now. Cheers. Cute. Okay, run back to your store because I want to buy stuff. Okay, what do you have? Hi again. Monstera, daisies, Inco. Ooh. Dinosaur among the trees. That is... It's paintable. Oh, probably the pot. That's massive! Kids, classic, and fantasy. Okay. Come again soon? Yeah! Oh, Tilda! Hello! No crime. I'm sorry. There's 7 things there. What do you want? Bonus points was written by a woman, and I enjoy reading serious, sophisticated literature. Also, I'd love to read something classic. I'm interested to see what you suggest. Okay. Then... I don't know who that was published by. Charles Dickens. Nope. Mary Shelley. Love and Political Liberty. Ooh, okay. Here, have this. Marvelous. You can't go wrong with a classic like Valperga. Yes! Glad you like. Yeah. Let's go! Oh, every single character is so fucking cute, bro. I do need to buy more at the flea market, but we'll live. Oh! People are home! BRB, guys!
Oh my god. Guys, I'm a VTuber.
You have the stream open?
Yeah. Guys, I'm debuting. Where's the tracking? Is it that?
Yeah.
Oh, don't you have
Oh my
hand
god,
tracking?
you shrimp so much.
Here.
You have to sit so straight for it to like not look down. That's so funny.
Ah. Don't you have hand tracking? You can't tell, but I'm flipping you all off. Hi, Zoinks.
I didn't turn on the hand tracking.
Oh,
Playing.
what is this? Game.
Tiny bookshop.
Oh my god, is this what it feels like to have a... What it feels like to have a G502 that's not old?
Yeah.
This feels so nice in my hand.
Yeah.
Reminds me I need to buy another one. My feet don't reach the floor.
Oh, my feet don't reach. I sit crossed.
What are these?
Do you see how he's looking? Do you see how the model's looking down? It's
Yeah.
because Jonk is fucking shrimping.
What are these things? What does this do?
That's what do? Oh yeah.
JoJo's. Chris. Ooh. This is Soren's inner voice. Die. 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 I feel like it's not... How are you so responsive all the time? I keep thinking it's gonna track my hands because I'm thinking this is VR. This is not VR. How is it always so responsive with your tracking?
I move.
You like animate yourself? You like this?
Do you want me to take over the tracking and you can see?
No, she's funny. Where do you normally sit? How close do you sit?
Yeah, like that.
Oh, you have an actual stream deck. What does this do? Blur? What's the ban button? Can I ban Chris?
It's not connected right now because I had
Fuck.
to log in and out of Twitch.
What's one do?
I always forget those exist, so I don't use them that much. I'm not gonna lie.
Alright.
You can do the sexy one. Do the sexy one.
Sexy one. Ooh. Wait, oh, is the tracking offset that you're looking at the camera when you're looking here?
Mhm.
That's why I kept looking at your like tracking device.
Yep.
Thinking that it would like make me look into...
Oh no.
Okay, if I knew that.
Looking forward is the screen.
How's the game? We lost. Which is not
What do you mean?
surprising.
We won. Putting to another.
Like there's a cheating scandal going on behind us, guys.
There's girl talk happening back here. Don't worry about it. It looks good.
Alright guys, here's Soren.
I'm back. You'll never fucking know it. You know, sorry guys. Actually, I just had a little bit of a fever for a second. Like, okay, my voice is back to normal.
Bro, I had a 38.8 fever.
38.8, yeah. Hey, at least it was better than last time. Fucking like 39.9, almost reaching 40. I think I did reach 40 probably at some point. I know what happened. Don't worry about it. Welcome back. Jonk was bullying us. Yeah, sorry. Jonk was bullying you when I was complimenting my friends in the background. I was having a little romantic tissue in the background, but now that they're back, I can stop streaming because I was only streaming because I was lonely. The model not having anyone to track was looking more forward than when Jonk was on it. Dude, literally, I don't know why I was looking down so much when he was on it. He was like this. And it was like this. I'm like, bro, why are you breaking my model? It's so funny. But yeah. Enjoy dinner! We will. Thank you! I might have to end this day first. Before we can go anywhere so that it actually saves. You'll just hear them yapping in the background. What is bro looking at? I don't know. It was like this, man. Like, you see how my chest is clipping through my shirt? That's not supposed to happen. Yeah, when it looks down like that. There. This bit. I feel like something's missing in my writing. You figure this out, or I keep laying the band down. You're gonna hear them yapping behind me. If you're going to that restaurant we both like, I will freak out. I thought about going to it yesterday, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. But it was Friday night, so it had like a line, and then we ended up going to Betty's Burger. We could. Do you wanna go and then like send him pictures? Hold on. Guess where we're going. Lesson on works, historical, okay. Unmasking autism. That's crazy. Wait, this? There we go. You're welcome, Close. Spoilers?
He's already done it. He's quit everything.
He's quit everything and become the American shoe doll.
American Girl doll shoemaker.
Yeah.
You know this gold.
You'll rage. Okay, we could. The things I'm thinking is like we could go to Papa Rich or we could go to Kintai.
I'll show you the full. Oh. They haven't popped up on my YouTube yet.
You're 4 weeks away from seafood hot pot. The hell is seafood hot pot? Okay, the day's over.
Is that Narangs?
We can go have dinner. That is Narangs.
Of course it was. How did I know? Hot pot.
Hot pot of Dropout? No.
I want to talk to him.
I've seen, okay, I know what it is because I've seen clips on TikTok. But I said, oh, goodbye, gang.
I watched it when.
What if we end stream like this?
Why does your OBS always...
That's because my Twitch stream key broke earlier. I had to end, like, my stream crashed.
Oh, is that why it said you were only level 40?
Yeah. And then I had to come back.
Are you gonna be able to...
Yeah, should be fine. I usually just close OBS. If it happens like this, I just exit OBS and turn my laptop off. And go, yeah.
Oh my god. No.
Alright. Love you guys, thank you! But we're gonna go have dinner now. Bye bye! Thank you for coming by the stream, everyone. Chris will update you on where we go. I hope you have FOMO. Someone in the back?
There's someone in the back.
You're in the back right now. Yeah. Also, I don't know if they can hear you, so I'm just talking to myself. I don't see the mic like levels going. Okay, there you go.
I do think I'm too far in, but I don't care.
Alright. Neri says hi. Do you wanna come
Hi.
here and say hi bye?
Hi, Neri. Hi, Neri. Oh, you know it's me. Woohoo!
It's your voice. What do you mean? Okay.
They do
Alright.
listen to you talk.
Bye,
for
guys. Bye
hours.
bye. Oh shit! Actually, I gotta send you somewhere. Hold on. I was literally just about to end.
Stream.
Send you to my bed. Alright, we'll raid Issa because Issa came and said hello earlier. Issa Borealis.
And now he's like, don't spoil me. And I'm like, the clips are getting
There we go.
I watched it immediately.
Alright.
That's real good too.
We'll send you guys out. See ya!